All right, in this video, we are going to go over how to take these two different equations that are parabolas and graph all of these different parts or find all of these different parts and then create the graph down here. They are two different forms and we're going to use different methods for each of them. I may just do a video for A and end it and then do a video for B afterwards. We'll see. All right, so let's go. First one, this one is in a form that is good for us to be able to graph. It is in the form y equals a open x minus h squared plus k. What I want you to see is that the a value is equal to 1. The h value is equal to negative 4 because if I were to do a minus a negative 4 for this, it would give me that double negative on that 4 there to give me a positive 4. And then the k value is equal to minus, minus 1. What that tells me is that, or we should know that the vertex, v, is at h comma k. So what is the vertex for this one? Well, h is negative 4, so I'm going to write negative 4, comma, negative 1. And that we can pull that when something is in this form, we can quickly pull out that information from things that we know. The other thing I'll say about A is 1, which makes it convenient for this one. That becomes a stretch factor, and we'll deal with that in a little bit. All right, so what comes next? The axis of symmetry. That's what AOS stands for, axis of symmetry. Well, it is always an x equals with these types of parabolas, and then I just take the x value from the vertex. So what is it? It's x equals negative 4. Next thing we want to know, is it a minimum or a maximum? Well, because this a value is positive right here, that means it's a parabola that opens up like this. If this was a negative number here, the parabola would open down. Since this parabola opens up, we have a min, so we can write min. Where is the min? Well, it's at this vertex right here. What is the domain? The domain is all real, the domain is, or what I'll do is I will remind you that domain and range goes alphabetically with x and y. So D comes before R alphabetically, and x comes before y alphabetically. So domain is all the possible x values, range is all the possible y values. Well, anytime we have a polynomial like this, the range is all real numbers. Sorry, I said that backwards. The domain, the x's is all real numbers. That's because there's no restriction on what x values I can plug into here. Give me any number x. We can always add 4 and square. So what does that mean? The domain is negative infinity to infinity. That's one way to say all real numbers. You could write out the words all real numbers, or you might know that symbol. It's kind of like a bolded R, writing it, and it means all real numbers. All right, next, what is the range? Well, the domain is all real numbers. The range we can piece together from thinking about the fact that this thing goes up, and the vertex is at 4 comma negative 1. Negative 1 is the y value, so it's going to be negative 1 and all numbers above that negative 1. So what do we get? Negative, whoops, I got to change over to a pen, negative 1, and then all values above. So we write negative 1 to infinity. I should specify this is a bracket because it includes that negative 1. All right, now let's go ahead and graph. So to graph this thing, we're going to move down, give us our graph pretty well here. All right. Now, what do I need to do? I'm just going to kind of piece these things together. I'm going to go and I'm going to graph the vertex first. So I'm going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4. That puts me here. And then down 1 to there. And I'm going to put a dot like that. I'm going to write V down below it for vertex. The reason I wrote V below is because I know that this is a parabola that opens up. Now, there's a variety of ways to get the points here. I think it's easiest to just think about the different points that you have on the parent function for a parabola. We've got 0, 0. We've got 1, 1. That's because 1 squared is 1. And then we've got 2, 4. That's because 2 squared is 4. So a parabola parent function would include those points. It would also include the other points over here that would have the same y values, 4, but a negative x value. So what I like to do when I'm doing this is I draw the vertex, and then I do the 1, 1 point. What would the 1, 1 point? It would be it would be over here. It would be over 1, up 1. And then I'm going to do the negative 1, 1 point. That would be back 1, up 1. So where do I put my dots? Right here and right here. Next thing I'm going to do is my 2, 4 points. So from the vertex, we always go over 2 and up 4, and back 2 and up 4. The one thing that I'll point out before we go any further is that I can do the 1, 1 and the 2, 4 points because this a value is when it's not stretched, and you should know that from some of your math experience from before. So I'm going to go over 2, up 4, and sorry, undo. I want to point out, I'll do this temporarily. We go over 2 like that, and then I go up 4 from the vertex, which puts me there. Okay, it's not a coordinate of positive 4 on the y's. It is 4 above the vertex. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll go back 2 from the vertex and then up 2 from the vertex like that. And then I can just sketch it in like that. There are other points that you could get. These directions said include at least 5 points. To me, those are the 5 easiest points. You can include other points, and there are lots of strategies for getting those other points. I'm going to just point out a couple things here. The domain is negative infinity to infinity. Notice this keeps going up, but it also keeps going to the left, and it keeps going to the right. So we can infer the domain from the picture. Same thing with the range. We can infer the range from the picture. So say you didn't know how to answer these questions and you drew the graph first, you could come back and answer these two using the graph. Because look, for the range right here, the lowest point that this parabola includes is -1. And then it includes all the ones above it. That's what this says right here, -1 to infinity. The axis of symmetry is this line right here, x equals -4. And the vertex right there is also shown. So whatever order, you don't have to answer these first before you graph these. Kind of comes in whatever order works for you. I think that's all I'm going to say about this one. Hopefully you're feeling good. I'm going to do this one over here in its own video, and I'll see you there. Thanks, bye.